Top 9 Solana meme coins. You have to understand the reason I'm recording this video now. The reason I'm actually recording this video now is because market treats Solana as a whore. When everything is alright, she is the first to get a call. She's the first on this yacht, she's the first in line. When things are bad, she's getting dumped, the first one as well. And Solana meme coins, they're these friends of this whore that get even worse type of behavior in the first place. They get caught even sooner than Solana itself, and they get dumped in no time. In 0 seconds, they get jitted, they get dumped already. And the reason I'm actually recording this video currently is because market is scared, because the main government puppet and the main guy for Solana is screaming about Solana going heavily down. Therefore, the prices on a lot of Solana meme coins are actually quite nice at this stage. And what we have to understand as market investors, as market participants, is that once this market will reverse, once things will actually become better, this whore will get the first call right away. And these friends of whore, they will just pump like crazy. And I do believe that for a lot of coins that I will be showing currently, we are at a very nice entry points. I would like to go through this topic because there is not a lot of things where you can actually safely put your money into Solana in, right? Not a lot of them. I do believe that it heavily depends on the timing, and right now it's actually the right timing as well. Without further ado, let's actually start. I have a list of 9 Solana meme coins, and first I would like to start with Bonk. Interesting thing with Bonk is that for a Solana meme coin, it didn't went down much. That can definitely show us it only like down from the highs of May in about 45% at this stage. And what this actually can show us is the proper work from the market makers, because the goal of the market makers, what are they doing? What are they doing on bread, for example, as well? They're taking profits themselves and the local tops, and then they're forming the treasury of the projects. And this treasury is actually being used to buy out the bottoms, to form the bottoms when the market is correcting. This way, they're essentially allowing the price not to go down too much, which is definitely a healthy thing because you don't want randoms to be able to get into your token at the lows. And this is one of these very important criteria of the projects that actually have teams, in comparison to projects that are community takeovers, where initial developer rocked, there is no team right now, and there are just some community members who are trying to run the project. The main issue with them is that they don't usually hold a lot of supply. Therefore, they won't be doing things that the projects that have teams actually will be doing, right? So currently, I do believe that this floor is being held because the funds from the treasury are being used to buy out the supply. And at the same time, I do believe that people see Bonk as something safer on the marketplace because they have BonkBot, which is a Bonk to trade meme coins on Solana. So they have real source of revenue coming in. One of the best sources of revenue currently, because I can definitely tell you, exchanges, they don't feel very nice currently. Crypto centralized exchanges, because these bots on Solana, they definitely took a bunch of revenue from them as well. Bonk currently is at $1.5 billion market cap. I would conservatively put it at 10x from here. If we expect crypto market to 3x from current levels, and we had around $3 trillion in terms of the whole capitalization of crypto market, we expect a 3x, 10x for Bonk definitely might be happening. I do like actually the work of the market makers. They have Godbit and they have DWF Labs, who's helping with perpetuals on Binance and on other exchanges. And it's the only meme coin, the third meme coin that's actually on Coinbase, not Pepe, not Bread as well. It's a very interesting situation at this stage. And I think one of the reasons for that is because Bonk is actually quite old. It's one of the main meme coins on Solana. If you thought that Bonk only appeared on the marketplace in the autumn of last year, no. It was already on Solana for quite some time, and people just saw over time that this is a leverage bet on Solana ecosystem, and they decided to invest into this thing. With VIF, we were at the highs of 4.58 cents, and right now we are at $1.60. That's around 65% decline. The main issue with this token is it's heavily associated with one of the main people in Twitter Solana Spaces, who is Ansem, and I do believe that he publicly took profits on his WIF, and some of his kind of fans, they're actually selling the WIF and buying Mock on Ethereum. And I actually saw a tweet on this yesterday, that how smart these guys are. They're selling the bottom on one token on WIF, and they're buying the top on the other token on Mock. Whether or not we are the top for Mock, I don't think so at this stage, because we do expect Ethereum ETF, we do expect Ethereum ETF inflows, and any Ethereum beta, which are meme coins, they should be doing quite well, with essentially injections of the new capital. And largest multipliers will always be in the lowest market cap coins, but that are blue chips, that are not scams, right? That's very interesting as well. So we do have to see each and every FUD as an opportunity. It still has $1.5 billion market cap. At a certain point of time, it actually flipped Pepe. It was as high as $4 billion in market cap as well. There were some things, and one of the issues with this thing is that it's actually a CTO, so it's community takeover. It's owned by community. Therefore, like, there is no this like strong pillar as a team kind of pushing this thing, moving further. And with one of the main people who is kind of like this person behind this Memecoin in this space, it definitely might be in the weaker spot currently. But as a long-term hold, it definitely proved itself on the marketplace. It's definitely very, very appealing to normies as well. It's just that the question that we should ask ourselves, who would actually be buying this thing? Because I doubt that current market participants would want to buy this thing at this stage. It's either leverage, or these are some whales that would be entering with 500k plus into this meme coin just to have this safe leverage bet on Solana. But they do also have Bonk at this stage. So these are pretty much just these two things. And I would say that like this is the common issue for these larger meme coins on the market currently, because if you're entering them on spot with $5,000, let's say, what do you need to make a 2x? You need like 100,000 Bitcoin to make a 2x if you're entering like $1.5 billion market cap meme coin at this stage. Therefore, you would probably be using leverage, which is nice in some cases, or it's something that whales can actually enter if they would want to get additional exposure into the ecosystem, into the narrative. And eventually, as far as I project from my end currently, that these larger things, they will continue to grow with more injections of retail into the market. And once essentially the main tokens of the ecosystems, the main ecosystem tokens will top and face local tops as well. Because, for example, currently you have the option to either buy Solana or you have the option to buy WIF. If you want to be conservative, if you're accumulating Solana on spot, currently it actually might be a very, very nice thing to swap some Solana into WIF if you believe into the long-term opportunity of WIF. An easy thing to actually find a response to this question, whether or not it's nice time to actually swap some of your Solana into WIF, is check out the chart of WIF to Solana, which means that if we are at the top, WIF it is heavily outperforming Solana. If we are at the bottom, WIF is heavily underperforming Solana, and Solana is outperforming WIF. We can definitely see that we are at the bottom. We are at the bottom almost to the March levels, right? I'm sorry, I picked Binance. Is it on Maxi? Yeah, we would just get a chart for a large amount of time. And we have this small green wick. Maybe it will be actually the start of the movement. But if you believe that maybe it would be in consolidation for quite some time, and then we would essentially pump back up and come back to these levels as well, where we were essentially outperforming Solana heavily, this is something that actually might be happening with WIF. And this might be actually the time to swap some of your WIF, and this actually might be the time to swap some of your Solana into WIF. It's actually quite interesting to check out the chart of Bonk to Solana as well. We can see that Bonk is kind of like, it definitely has some things in terms of the current levels to the tops, like 100% of outperformance. And let's actually check out Bonk to WIF as well. That's very, very interesting. So we can definitely see that Bonk is outperforming WIF. However, you might expect that it should be correcting, moving down, moving this level. at this level, and if you actually think that this chart is actually looking to go down into these levels, you might also actually swap your Bonk into WIF, because one of the things of how you can actually increase the amount of tokens in your portfolio, even during the dips, even without new cash increases. During these dips, like you don't have to input new cash into the market. What you're doing is you are creating these pairs and you're checking out how different assets are outperforming each other, how they're trading in comparison to each other. And if an asset was actually quite strong on the correction in comparison to the other asset, and if you think that the other asset will probably have a more explosive move once the market actually reverses, what you might do is that the asset that outperforms during the correction, you might swap a bit of this asset into the asset that is down heavily. So for example, you have coin A and it's down 40%, and you have coin B and it's down 80%. What you're doing, you're getting a bit of coin A and you're swapping it into coin B. And this way, you're probably swapping at the bottom of the trading pair. Because if the chart is essentially trending down or up for some time, over time it should be reversing as well. So this is a very, very interesting thing to pretty much do. So we've built these pairs in terms of WIF Sol, Bonk Sol, and Bonk WIF as well. And yeah, as mentioned, I do think it's actually a very, very nice piece of alpha currently if you're holding Solana to swap a bit of your Sol in WIF if you believe in WIF. And I do think that should be happening as well, because for the main person, for the Ansem to cancel and just decline all his things that he's bullish on WIF, I don't think that this would be happening. So it's hard to say currently whether or not I would want to put it at 25 or 10x at this stage, but we were at $4 billion market cap already, and we are on a very, very nice correction, and we are definitely holding these levels very, very nice. We have we touched it here, we touched it here, we have some consolidation right here as well, which probably serves as support currently. So I would probably want to put it 25x at this stage. The only thing I'm thinking whether or not it's actually large enough should be around $37 billion at the top of the cycle. Probably gonna be right. But you also have to understand who will be the buyers, because current market participants, they probably won't be buying $1.5 billion asset with a small amount of money, right? So, but as Solana beta at this stage, if you're holding millions of dollars in Solana, just take your 10 and 50% of Solana and swap to WIF right now might be a very, very nice decision. Obviously, if you don't think that WIF will go to zero, if you think that WIF will go to zero, so you're kind of taking on high risks, but you're taking on higher upside as well. Next thing is Trump. Trump is this redacted meta on Donald Trump. And it's quite interesting that this token is not doing very, very well. And Trump is speaking on Bitcoin conference by the end of this month, which is to be honest quite crazy to me, right? We had $40 million market cap. You can actually leverage loan WIF. I saw on some of the exchanges, you can check it out here, markets, perpetuals, and you have it BitMax and DYDX. I was checking out with BitMax, but for some reason the price to loan it is larger than the spot price, so I'm not sure if they have a bunch of liquidity out there, right, to actually be able to loan this thing. But $40 million for something like Donald Trump is actually quite interesting, because there is not a lot of Solana Politify meme coins on Solana, right? And not a lot of them they actually connected to Trump. Most of them most of these memes that are connected to Trump, they're on Ethereum. So you won't be able to get this Solana beta play to this Politify meta. So I do actually think that this thing might be your very, very stable bet. I would say even default scenario, it should be going to $500 million closer to the election, obviously with the whole market being in favor as well. So quite a safe 10x and a larger chance for the 10x. The only reason I put it on the 10x is because this is the short-term thing, because after election 100% it's dead. You need to sell this thing before the election 100%. That's why essentially the Bonk actually has longer longevity than Trump, if it makes sense. But because of the short-term part, it definitely should be more explosive. So it definitely is suppressed by the market currently. It has the price that close the price that we've seen in May. And yeah, just crazy to me. So we would be seeing what will be happening. I'm not holding it myself. Next thing is Harambe. Harambe is an OG Solana meme token. And one of the reasons I'm essentially showing you this is because if you're following Solana meme coin space, you probably saw Retardo doing like a forex recently. I will speak on Retardo separately. No worries if you don't understand what I'm talking about. But the reason I'm telling you about Retardo is because these two communities, they are essentially connected in a way, and a lot of holders of Retardo, they are probably holders of Solana, like Bandit from Milady's. I think she's one of the top holders of Harambe on Solana as well. So you need to understand why Retardo actually pumped as well. What happened is probably these Milady's cabal, like a part of it, they made a bunch of money on the recent new Solana meme coin pump. Most likely Billy and maybe Giga, from my point of view. They took some profit, and what are they doing usually? They're taking some profits and they're putting this profit into their long-term bags that they're holding, and they like pretty much like as a community, and that reflects them as a community. And Harambe, to a certain extent, is one of them. Harambe is a gorilla, I believe, that was killed because a boy got into the cage, right? And I believe it's she did not kill the boy, but she got killed anyway. And we got Elon Musk posting on Harambe, on the birthday of Harambe as well. So it's a very, very nice meme coin, definitely has this like story. It's actually like a meme in a certain way. It's kind of similar to Doge in a sense as well. And pretty nice thing in general. It only has $16 million market cap. So you have to understand that once these Solana cabal guys, they will steal some more people from retail. They'll probably take these profits and they will put them into something like Harambe. Or they will take profits on Retardo and they will put it into something like Harambe. So I would put it in 25x, obviously over the whole course of the market, right? Like not currently. But overall, we do also have to understand the power of rotation, the power of greed. And that's one of the reasons of why I do think that the market actually is quite bullish currently as well, because we see that lower quality stocks in stock market, they are getting a beat. They're getting their share of liquidity at this stage. And what do you think will happen once essentially stocks and these like lower quality stocks, they will just be too overvalued already to throw money into them? The speculators from stock market, they will be coming in crypto, and some of them are coming to crypto already. I mentioned to you several days already that we are at the nice time to swap some of your stock assets into Ethereum, because if you check out the chart, let me show you one more time. If you would check out the chart of Nasdaq in comparison to Ethereum, you can see that Ethereum is underperforming heavily. You can understand that this is not something that will continue to happen. Like something should be happening and we should be printing exactly the pattern. So we should be coming in this area, coming back 100%. So that's why essentially I do think that this is actually the nice time to swap some stocks into crypto. Obviously, if you believe that crypto won't be dying out, I don't think so. And I do believe that this is something that would be happening as well, because we are essentially, it's just human psychology. And the markets, they're not changing much because it's a very, very convenient tool to get people out of the savings, right? For the elites, right? So we've spoken about the Harambe already. Next thing is Stan. Stan is actually Stanley Cup coin. It's an older Solana meme. So you have to understand that most of the things that I'm actually showing here, they are older Solana memes. And there are reasons for that, because I do want to provide you here with like strong Solana picks that you can actually buy and hold. I don't want to give you things that you would buy and they will go to zero, right? So these are all the projects. They went through the corrections already. They are at the bottom currently, and this is specifically the reason of why I am recording this video currently. So Stan is something that a lot of people, a lot of Solana and a lot of meme community people, they're essentially sharing a bunch of info on, and they're sharing that like their content is just next level. They are sharing this type of content, this type of movies on the Twitter, and you can see that they're quite of a nice quality in comparison to most of the meme coins as well, and they're quite relevant as well. I'm sure you've seen like this meme with this girl and default crypto market participant, and this is like Stan and Giga impersonation, things like that. What I do like, I don't give a fuck about the meme coin in the first place, to be honest. What I do like is the chart. If we would actually check out the chart of this thing, let me pop this up for you, right? And we see it's up 30% on 24 hours, which is crazy. What I do like on this thing is that, just look at this chart. Let me remove all the drawings. Just crazy to me. So we had this initial pump, then we had this wedge forming, and we broke out through the wedge, and we've done a 20x movement from the bottom till here, like 23x. And you can see that this is exactly something that's happening currently. We are going down from this high, exactly as here, right here. These two things, they're pretty much similar. And we formed a wedge here, exactly as we formed here. And what do you think will actually be happening next? This is also like this meme coin from Retardo cabal to a certain extent as well. And I do believe that certain profits from rotation from Retardo, once they will be taking profits there, some of the liquidity will actually end up here. And this thing is like down 23x's or more from the highs. This is something I like as well. This is something I'm like, the reason I'm sharing this in this video as well. So I do believe this is a very, very nice entry point for this meme token at this stage. We will see how it will be actually performing. Just because of the fact that the market cap is $6.6 million and it's 20x lower, it's that, like, I would just put it at 50x plus at this stage. Obviously, like, probably not short term, over time. I just like the risk reward, and it's one of the very, very small amount of these like older OG Solana memes. And what's important, what are the things that you want to see from a meme token, is that it actually is doing something during the reversals, right? Like right now we have this small weekend pump, which some people are saying that like don't trust it. I have very, very interesting feeling about this pump. I have a feeling that maybe this would be the situation where no one will actually trust it, but this might actually be the pump that you need to trust. Just my feelings at this stage, right? So yeah, nice chart. Don't give a shit about meme, just like the chart. Moving further, we have Retardo, something that I was referring to several times in this video already. So Retardo is essentially this meme token of Retardo community, NFT community on Twitter. There's purely focusing on meme coins. And yeah, the chart is just very, very nice. So we had this multi-month consolidation. You might say that we had this wedge here and we finally broke out upward, right? And like we're in the price, we were in the price discovery for quite some time, and it's definitely doing quite nice at this stage. Hard to say whether or not it will go higher. We also have to not be fooled by the market caps in this Solana meme coin game, because liquidity on this thing is $1.6 million and the market cap is $90 million. If it would be an Ethereum meme token, like older one, $1.6 million of liquidity, it would just put it at maybe like $20 million of liquidity, maybe 25 or 30, right? So we have to understand that like these things, they're specifically structured in a way. So a lot of people would actually see that they have a bunch of money on paper. Like you can see how many people have $1 million, 1.4, 900, 700K, 600K. But if any one of them would decide to just dump the whole bag, they will pretty much send the chart to zero, because others will probably decide to do the same, right? But it's kind of like a feature, so you should not be looking at this as a flaw. It's kind of like a feature for meme coins because it allows them to have these explosive moves up, which something that is more heavier won't actually be able to do. So I would expect for people to actually take profits out of this thing and reposition to some things that I mentioned already, like Harambe and Stan, over time. I would say that we probably should be correcting, but with the additional moves of the market, it can just continue to go up. So the more new tokens they will be launching and the more they will be successful, the more profits might be coming back to this thing. But we also have to understand that one of the reasons this thing pumped is because they've obviously pushing the profits into it, but it was also quite lucrative to push the profits into it because they also want to multiply the profits. And if the market cap of this thing would be too high like initially already, they would probably not do that because the market cap was like 20-25 million, so they were able to do a 3x on top of the profits that they've done recently. I would put it at a 10x conservatively at this stage. I do think over the course of the whole bull cycle, probably can actually do more, just because of the reason this is like this community token. At the same time, it might be limited by the community because these guys, to a certain extent, they might just stop buying it because they won't see the risk reward for themselves. So I would just put it at 10x. but a higher chance of a 10x than Trump. Although I'm sure that Trump should be doing very, very well closer to the election. Next thing is something new, Billy, something that actually just appeared on the market recently. Some people, yeah, I believe it's community takeover, a CTO. I also saw this thing very, very early, and I obviously faded. But it's quite hard with these things because you have to know who's behind them, what are the people, because in most cases, it will just dump. In some cases, it will just continue to reap, right? Hard to say something based on this chart. We definitely had this support. We bounced back up from this support. Right now, we're kind of consolidating further. We have like huge resistance right here. We might have some resistance around all-time high as well. We are generally following our main trend line right here. So it did not broken. So as you see, it's essentially bounced upward very, very nicely. And it's hard with these things. The main reasons it's hard with these things is because from one point of view, definitely have an advantage because this token started to pump during the market dip. Therefore, this token did not see positive market conditions. This is a very, very important positive point for any type of token. You cannot neglect this. At the same time, because this thing is new, the current holders, they were not going through like large corrections. So we don't know what will be happening with them, right? Although you might say that 50% is a nice correction, but it's not like 70%, it's not 80%, it's not like big flat. People are still kind of positive about this thing and they're looking forward, and there are a bunch of whales from from some larger Solana memes that were positioning themselves into this meme token as well. We can also see that the liquidity and market cap ratio is quite nice. So we've just seen on Retardo that it had like $100 million market cap with $1.6 million in liquidity. Here is better. It has $130 million market cap with $3.2 million in liquidity, which means that, yeah, at some cases it might be harder to push further, but it should be sustaining a bit better through the dips as well. Honestly, this one I see as a risk. Why? Because if you would be entering currently, you're definitely not entering at the bottom. It's new. It did not went through the corrections, right? And we don't know what the current holders would just be doing if this thing would be seeing a correction. And Solana memes, they are this attention game. So the reason I was showing you previous memes is because they are these long-term projects on Solana. Solana people, they know about them. And a lot of them, they're essentially taking the profits out of trading things like this, things like Billy, and they're pushing their profits into these older projects as they see them as like these more conservative, more stable picks, and they are at the bottom. That's why they're essentially quite nice. With this thing, you probably would want to be careful, although we might go just for the next leg up. I would want just to put it at 5x currently, and the only reason I'm doing that is because it's a new thing. So I'm not sure what it will be doing moving further from these levels, right? We will be seeing, because there is so many Solana tokens that essentially were reaching certain highs and they were going down after that. And even with 5x, like it's hard. I would probably not recommend to be entering at these levels, right? So be very, very careful. Maybe if you cut your entry at these levels and at the support, it's nice. You can kind of figure out by yourself that if and when we would be touching this support one more time, this would be a buy zone, right? Right now, we will see. We will see if we will essentially bounce down, because this high is lower than this high. This high might actually return and come back lower. And that would just mean that we have a high chance of breaking this support down and essentially starting to trend somewhere here around these levels, because these are also liquidity levels, like strong liquidity levels for this token. And it's already like 2x lower than currently. So what you have to understand is that there are a bunch of people sitting in this coin with a bunch of profits. They probably did not take a bunch of profits yet, and it's quite hard to predict the future on this one. So I would probably even want to put it out at 5x. I would just keep it in the list, right? It's hard to say. Another example like this is actually Giga chart token. Exactly the same situation. The only thing that you might see is that the chart kind of has this more clean structure from the point of view that it was not correcting heavily at this stage. So if you check out the chart of Billy, we had something like this. We had lower high, and we are right here currently, yeah? So in the chart of Giga, you might say that we are somewhere here, right? So we did not yet have seen, or maybe somewhere here. So maybe it's like the first correction and we go something like this, right? If we would essentially copy the chart that we see on Billy currently. It's also a new Solana meme, so I would suggest to be very, very careful on this thing. If you would still want to enter, your entry point might be somewhere around these liquidity levels. Because yeah, it's nice support. There is a chance that we would essentially be going lower here as well. And yeah, with these things, it's quite hard just because of the fact that you don't know how the current holders will behave during the corrections. Most of the current holders, they are still in large profits at this stage. And a lot of people, they don't know how to take profits. What they essentially end up doing when the token is finally reaching certain like lower levels, they just start to Hitler the chart. So they just start to take profits here because they're in fear, right? And nothing essentially going on for the token. So I would also stay like I would change 5x to risky. And my criteria for these things to become risky is to see a bit more of the price action. We might go for another leg up, but I would say that your upside is quite limited in comparison to the things that, in comparison to Trump, even to like Retardo. Retardo is probably quite risky at this stage as well, because we just pumped. Although the market, like, yeah, just quite risky. But things like Harambe, Stan, and Trump, they should be very, very alright and very, very nice for the entry currently. Last but not least, Boden. Something I was very, very bullish on back in March. I was wrong on this thing. And you know what's interesting? It's almost like there were certain insiders that knew that like Boden will not essentially participate in the presidential race. But from other point of view, it's quite obvious, like following the health situation and things like that. And I was constantly buying. I think I was buying it like here, I was selling. I was buying here, I was selling. And I was buying like $70,000 worth of this thing. So I trimmed my $70,000 by like 7 to 10K, probably 3 to 4 times. I was constantly buying, but it was quite interesting because when I was buying this thing, I always felt uneasy internally. I felt like, man, something is wrong. And it's interesting that we went down to this thing, right? To this level. So we definitely had attempt from someone in the market here to buy the exact lows. And they might have got like a nice 3x from the lows, right? So they might have just bought a big fat. And like there are a bunch of crazy stories out there that like a guy had $4.5 million at the top worth of Boden. And I believe he sold like last week or maybe this week, currently for $100,000. It was like a meme on Twitter, like crypto bro, he can like buy supercars, buy a house, pay out his debts. No, he will be holding billions of Joe Boden token, Joe Boden on Solana. And like it's funny from one point of view, but I can say like I was doing the same. I did not take a bunch of profits on my memes in spring as well, and I'm kind of waiting. So I'm at this interesting spot at this stage, right? So yeah, always take profits and secure some of the funds by yourself. The third process you might have is that we like the Bitcoin dominance did not get down yet, and we are only at the start of the liquidity cycle, like the market liquidity cycle as well. We just had like first liquidity inflows trending up. And the main thing is to make sure that the things you're actually buying and that you are in will survive. That's just the main thing, because otherwise they will get appreciation, they will increase in value because people will be buying into them lower into the cycle. So whether or not I think that this thing would turn up, probably not, because we just had Boden like calling Zelensky, like president of Ukraine, Mr. Putin, right? And this is like the largest meme. Like I don't think, and like he said to a guy that I figure out you're a nice person when I was fucking your wife, like something like that. These are just like largest best memes about Boden. Can you actually figure out something like funnier? Can he do something better at this stage? Something more like, nah, he cannot do anything else. Only like die on some speech. Like that's the thing that might pump this chart up, like if he would actually die live, right? But it won't be like a sustained pump. It would be just pump on these news and things like that. So if you want to bet on Boden dying in like on live session, you actually might be buying into this token. But currently Probably 0. Probably I would put, unfortunately, this thing to 0. This is it about my overview. That's definitely not all of the projects. I just wanted to share this information because I do believe that some things that I shared here, they are very, very valuable because market treats Solana as a whore. And we all need to treat Solana as a whore as well. And right now, if we would be calling the whore during the bad times, that means that once the times will be good and everyone would want to call a whore, we will be her daddy. They will be calling us and we will be selling this whore to them. That's a very important thing, right? Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll be seeing you tomorrow.